The losing streak reaches 5 in a row as the Cardinals season continues to sink into the abyss. This is Locked on Cardinals.
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked on Cardinals, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio and the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked on Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We're also available on YouTube. If you haven't joined us there, you should. Like, subscribe, comment, interact with us. It's a lot of fun. Hit the notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, and when you enter promo code LockedOnMLB, they're going to throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every single order. It's very nice. I just used mine the other day, so be sure to check them out, okay? Honestly, I don't have an answer for you today as to what happened last night. Last night, the Cardinals lost a baseball game. That's what happened last night. It's their fifth loss in a row, and there's really nowhere like to just point and go, that's what happened, and that's where the things went wrong, and this is why they lost the game. Monday night, you had a couple of different issues. You had the base running, you had the defense, so you could kind of point your finger at those situations and go, that's where things went wrong. Last night, they lost a baseball game. The Texas Rangers beat the St. Louis Cardinals, plain and simple. That's what happened last night. Another team beat the other team. I mean, they did just about everything that you need to do to win a game at the major league level, didn't they? I mean, they jumped out on their starting pitcher, Dane Dunning, early on, thanks to the Nolan Arenado home run, his 11th of the season. The Cardinals would go on to pop 3 dingers in the game off of Dunning. This is a pitcher who hadn't given up any home runs so far this season coming into the game. The Nato home run gave the team some early life, a little bit of jump. The hard part when you face the Texas Rangers is keeping them off the board. That's where things are very, very difficult. Something that nobody has been able to do so far this season. And Matthew Liberatore got the ball, and the Rangers, they hit lefties very well. They hit everybody really well, but they hit lefties very, very well. You knew it was going to be a tough matchup for the Rook, and they didn't show him any mercy, man. They get 5 runs on 7 hits in just 4 innings of work. 4 of those runs earned. You had the 1 run come in, the 5th run due to the errant throw from Nolan Gorman. Things really weren't so bad until the 4th inning. Score was tied 2-2. You had the walk to Garver, which kind of set things in motion there. Then 3 straight hits, including the double by Simeon. And then all of a sudden you got a 5-2 ball game and you're in a hole. And that's what their offense can do to you. And I'm really, really jealous when I watch these games, because you look at the guys that the Cardinals have in their lineup, and then you look over at Texas. And in my head, I'm like, our guys should be doing things like this. You know? I mean, there's a lot of talent on this Cardinals roster. At least it's supposed to be talented. And for whatever reason, it just has not clicked for them this year. I don't think the Cardinals lineup scares anybody right now. And it should. When you have names like Goldschmidt and Arenado and Contreras in the meat of your order, that should frighten opposing teams, and they just don't. The Rangers end up tacking on another run later on. Adolis Garcia hits the dinger, which I'm not going to yell at Drew Verhagen for this one because that ball was in his eyes. It was up here. You're not supposed to hit that for a home run. Garcia did. It happens. But I'm not going to clobber Verhagen for that one. The Cardinals claw back into it because of the home runs. You get the solo dingers from Contreras, who was still in a horrible slump. And I hope that last night, because like when he got buzzed after the Arenado home run, when he took the one off like the bill of his batter's helmet, I thought we were going to get angry villain Willie back, and his just anger was going to push this team into the direction they need to be going to win ball games. And he ends up getting a home run later on in the game. I hope this breaks him out of this slump that he's in, because they need him, because this whole team is kind of not hitting right now. But I hope that works for Contreras. I really do. Jordan Walker crushes his third of the year to left field. Wasn't that a nice sight? That was pretty. Look at him on YouTube. You can see the photo of him after he hit it. An absolute bomb, 430 feet into the left field stands. Good launch angle there. Probably learned that launch angle while I was in Memphis, right? But that was a beautiful sight to see. But it wasn't enough. The Rangers win at 6-4 to beat Texas. You got to outscore them. And even with 3 long flies, there just wasn't enough damage done in between all of them. Like, that was all the offense for those 3 home runs. And usually when the Cardinals hit home runs, they win. But they were held to only 4 additional hits, 2 coming from Brendan Donovan. 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. They just don't create enough chaos on the base paths to get this one done. My takeaways from this: I still believe in Matthew Liberatore. I still like him. I believe he's still going to give you a better chance day in and day out in your rotation compared to what Steven Matz is doing at this point. He just happened to go up against one of the best offenses in baseball, and they beat him. It's going to happen. I wasn't a huge fan of sitting Luken Baker last night. Guy has 3 hits in his first 8 at bats, so you bench him. He can provide you with power and a jolt to your stale lineup, and you sit him in favor of Alec Burleson, who has had all the chances in the world to do something this season and just has not produced. To steal a line from the great Jim Mora, former NFL coach, hasn't produced diddly poo this season. Like, he just hasn't. Let Baker hit, man. Let him do it. He was crushing everything in Memphis. Why sit him? I realize he struck out 4 times in those first at-bats that he's been at the major league level. So what? Now, if he was 0 for 8 with 8 strikeouts and just looked terrible, then I get it. I'd understand that. But I don't understand this move. Your team isn't winning. Maybe don't bench the new blood that the front office is trying to inject into your team in favor of a guy who hasn't been helping you win baseball games for 2 months. I can't get on board with that. I don't like it. Something else I'd like to see, I'm not angry about this at all, and it's not because he just hit a home run last night, but I'm just kind of curious. Like, I was just thinking in my mind what it would be like, or how Jordan Walker would respond if you moved him up in the lineup and had him at least around Goldie and Arenado. What that might do for him as far as how pitchers might throw to him. I'm just curious. Not saying it's something that has to happen, or that if it did happen, it would immediately fix anything. I don't know that. But I wonder if it's something that maybe we see at some point. Because my mind right now is starting to think about the future of the team and not this season. The way things are going, like I told you at the beginning of the week, I'm all out of trust and faith in this team right now to do anything for this year. But I want to see what some of the young guys like Walker can do as a bigger piece of the lineup, up higher in the lineup. I know some people want stability in the lineup, which is valid. I get it. But I'm one of the guys who likes to tinker. It's just something I like to do, especially during a 5-game losing streak. Why not move some dudes around just to see if it clicks, just to see if something will work? If they were winning 5 in a row, I would say don't. Leave everybody where they are. Don't touch anything. But that's not where this team is right now. The Cardinals are now 12 games below 500 for the second time this season. It is just the second time overall that they have fallen so far below 500 in franchise history. Remarkably, prior to the season, the franchise has not been 12-plus games below 500 since October 2nd of 1999, 4 months after the team drafted future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. Those stats coming to you courtesy of Rob Raines at stlsportspage.com. They're really, really bad, man. After the game, here's what Oli had to say. It's frustrating for sure. On nights that we hit, we give up more runs, and on nights that we don't hit, our pitchers have done a nice job. It just hasn't lined up in a way where it equals a win. So we have to show up tomorrow and take our best shot again. But is it frustrating? Absolutely. It's incredibly frustrating. And he ain't lying. They just cannot seem to get all phases of the game of baseball, where it's pitching, offense, defense, base running, bullpen, like get it all together at once on a regular basis. You've seen it a few times. You saw it in the series against LA and against Milwaukee. And you saw that one stretch of games right there when it all kind of clicked, how they were able to win ball games. And so far this year, they just can't do it on a regular basis. So who's to blame, right? We want to find out who we're going to blame here. And I wanted to see what the fans had to say about it. So I asked that question yesterday, and we'll get to fan reactions next here on Locked On Cardinals. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. You live, you learn, you make your mistakes, and you end up growing inside and out. Therapy is something that can help you with that. It's all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we just don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. And it's always nice to have someone just there to listen, right? You know, you don't always need somebody to give you advice. You just want somebody to listen to what's going on in your world. And that's where BetterHelp can benefit you. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are, whether it's a good place or a bad place. So if you're thinking about starting therapy and watching these Cardinal games, I can see why you might want to. Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which is a great thing, because if you've ever tried to get into seeing a therapist, not the easiest thing to do. And it's great that, you know, BetterHelp is flexible and suited for your schedule. So it makes things a lot easier. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. The Cardinals are in Texas again tonight to face the Rangers, and you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. My everydayers know that we like to incorporate as much listener interaction into the show as possible. So if you don't follow on Twitter or you don't watch on YouTube, please try one of them and feel free to leave comments, good or bad, doesn't matter. If you want to rip me for something I've said, go right ahead. It's okay. We don't always have to agree, okay? I'm not saying everything I say is the be-all, end-all. It is 100% true, and whatever you say against me is wrong. That's just not how it works, okay? We can have good discussions on Twitter and on YouTube. So be a part of the show. That's why I like that you guys do that, because I want this to be a back-and-forth thing between us, and so far, so good. And we've got a lot to talk about because there's so many people unhappy right now, and I get it. Yesterday, I asked, who do you think is the biggest reason for the Cardinals' failures this year? Is it Mozeliak's roster building, Oli Marmol's managing, or just the players, the team's performance in general? Which one do you think is the biggest reason for the Cardinals being where they are as the worst team in the National League? And you can only pick one. And of course, my first responder here immediately does exactly what I didn't want, and he puts all three of them in order. I realize that's the point. That's why I named all of those, that all three of them have combined to bring on this disastrous season. There's blame to go around for everybody. But that's why I wanted you to pick one. All right? Don't list them in order for me. Just go with one and tell me why. Now, Ann Shirley jumps in. She got a hot take here. Ann Shirley's got a hot take here. Says, I hate to say it because I love the guy, but I think Arenado is the number one problem. I don't know what's wrong with them, but when he hits, they win. When he doesn't, they lose. His defense is a pivotal point one way or the other, and it has been unusually shaky this year, as we saw on Monday night. I wonder if the pitch clock is messing with his somewhat long batting routine, making hitting more difficult. Arenado has to be all in for the Cardinals to win, similar to Judge with the Yankees. That is something I have not heard much of, is putting a lot of blame on Nolan Arenado. But you're right. You know, he is a key cog in this lineup and is a difference maker. And that's why they pay him what they pay him, is because that's how important he is to this team. You notice that when the Cardinals were winning in May, when they had that stretch where they were playing really good baseball and we were seeing them put up W's, guess who was tearing the cover off the ball and hitting dingers almost every night? Number 28, Mr. Arenado. Goldie will always be Goldie. Okay. But he's like wallpaper, man. He's just kind of boring, right? Nolan Arenado, when he's on, brings a flair and a fire to this team. But Goldie, even when Goldie's on, he can't do it by himself. He needs his partner in crime to, be on that same level with him. And when he's off, this team doesn't win. But you could say that about almost every star player in baseball. Most of the time, when they're not going right, their team doesn't usually win very many games. And you were hoping that this season it wouldn't be so much of a burden on having Arenado have to stay hot the whole time. You were hoping that Willson Contreras would help alleviate some of that burden this year, but he's been hot garbage for most of the season at the plate. You were hoping Tyler O'Neill. I'm not going to say that you were hoping he'd replicate what he did a couple years ago when he got MVP votes, but you were certainly hoping he'd do more than he did last year. And so far, he's figured out a way to give you less than he did last year because he can't stay on the field. Carlson has been hurt. You were hoping his game was going to come back to a better level, more like he was his rookie season. Newbar's been on the IL twice now, 2 stints. The only guy that's really followed through with an upgrade from what he did last year is Nolan Gorman, but recently you've seen his numbers dip. Last couple of weeks, look at this. Last 15 games, batting 204. 204. The strikeouts are back up. Over 15 games, he struck out 19 times, and the walks are down. He's only walked 6 times. Slumps happen, but somebody's got to snap out of this soon if they're going to ever win. Like, somebody has to. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but eventually they're going to need at least 1 or 2 of these guys to get going. That way they can get back into the win column. And I know that, Oli after the game yesterday was saying, well, there's 100 games left. I know. But you haven't proven to us over the last 60-something games that you have it in you to go on a stretch where you're going to win a bunch of games in a row and get back in this thing. Mazu Kakai, maybe that's how this guy says it. Sorry if I butchered that. I think their problem comes from an over-reliance of analytics. It can benefit low-talent teams, but this roster doesn't need it. Just play the same roster for a few games with your best players. This modern approach doesn't always work. Sometimes the best players are all you need. And that's certainly an idea. Thank you for the comment. Like I said last segment, I'm someone who likes to tinker with lineups until I find one that starts producing and getting wins for this team. Some people hate that. Some people absolutely hate that. They want stability. They want a lineup card that you can just copy and print it and put it out there for 162 games. I'm not that guy. And I agree, when you're winning, don't touch anything. Just let everybody do what they're doing. Just let it be. But right now they're not winning. So I'd be flipping things around all the time until I find something that actually works. Looking at some of these, most people are just saying fire Oli. A lot of people just want to see Oli fired. I went into that yesterday of why I don't think they're going to do something like that. So if you didn't get yesterday's episode, go back and watch it. I do a whole thing about that. Bill Bays says Mo messed up by not doing 1 or 2 trades for starting pitching, but I will leave Mo out for right now. Oli doesn't have a clue what he's doing, and he needs to go now. Capital now with exclamation points. We need an older, experienced manager who will deal in logic and not emotion. Certain starters need to go to the bullpen or be traded. If they're not going to make trades right now, the best starters on the roster in St. Louis or AAA Memphis need to be brought in to pitch. These younger arms need to be given a chance of 3 or 4 starts and see how they do. We ain't getting it with this starting rotation, and all of us know that. Michael McGreevy, Gordon Graceffo need to start. Bring Zach Thompson up to stabilize the bullpen and use Chris Stratton more. Send the ones who can't find the plate to AAA. Good grief, Charlie Brown. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Let's get into this guy's stuff. All right, well, Graceffo has been hurt, okay? Shoulder injury. Should be coming back in a couple of weeks. I think that was the last update I saw. So that's not going to work. He's not available. They already screwed up Zach Thompson. Just flushed their top left-handed arm in the pin right down the toilet this year. And I'm still fired up about that. And he's just getting bombed as a starter at Memphis. He can't find the strike zone. He's an absolute mess since they sent him down. And I'm in awe at how they've ruined that dude's whole season. Hopefully they didn't ruin his whole career, but they screwed up huge on that move. Hated it when I saw that was the decision they made. Hated even more as he continues to struggle. Just a disaster. McGreevy 4-0 at Memphis right now. Since getting moved to AAA. Remember, he actually started at AA this year, was really, really good, moved to Memphis, 4-0 so far. But unless you're moving another starter to the bullpen or you trade somebody, where's he going to go? You already got Flaherty, Michaelis, Montgomery, and Wainwright. You have Liberatore, who I don't want him touched. I'm fine with him. So that's the issue there. Like, where's McGreevy going to pitch? There's nowhere to go. So maybe later in the season, when hopefully, if this continues the way it's going, guys like Flaherty and Montgomery will be moved for a lot of prospects and some good ball players. Maybe then he gets his chance, but just nowhere to put him right now. It'll take an injury or something to happen to get him up there. Chris Stratton has been better than most would have imagined this year. I agree with you there. I mean, he's second on the team in appearances, so it's not like they're not using him. Only Drew Verhagen has pitched in more games. He's appeared, what do we got? 23 here for Chris Stratton. Verhagen's got 27. So they've been using him plenty. How about Steven Matz last night? I know it's just a random thought in my head, but pretty good, right? Not too shabby. You know, I hope Steven Matz can turn things around. He belongs as a starter, but he's just not good enough right now. So if you're going to get at least some production out of him and he's doing well in the bullpen, I guess leave him back there. I got no problems with that. Also, update here, Dylan Carlson made his first rehab start last night. Single and walked in his 2 at-bats. He played 5 innings in center field, recorded an outfield assist. They are hoping that he'll be back with the team this weekend. He's going to take on a couple more of these rehab games and should be back this weekend, which will be nice. Newbar's 10-day IL stint, I believe, is up tomorrow. Like, he's eligible to come off of that tomorrow. I haven't heard anything about how his back has responded to treatment. Remember, it was back spasms after he slammed into the wall at Busch, and then his back started acting up. So haven't heard anything on when he's coming back. I hope no news means good news, that he's doing just fine and will be ready to roll. But that'd be a nice boost to this lineup, right? If you got Carlson and Nootbaar back, both offensively and defensively, because then you can stop playing all the infielders in the outfield. Although Tommy Edman hasn't looked that bad at center. I give him credit, man. All right. As always, thank you for the comments. Keep them coming on YouTube and on Twitter. You guys rock. Let's try to avoid the sweep tonight in Texas. So we're going to talk about that game next here on Locked On Cardinals. Bird Dogs, man. Summer is here. And if you want to, and this is no BS, guys, if you want to look your best, but also be comfortable at the same time, and who doesn't want that, right? My friends, let's introduce you to the Bird Dogs. The shorts, they're awesome. They're my new favorite shorts. I wear them all the time, and I'm not joking about this. I don't have them on right now, but I have them in my closet, okay? And they're awesome, all right? Goofy name, Bird Dogs. I understand that, but there's nothing goofy about how these things fit and feel. They have stretch khaki shorts that are designed for a slimmer fit. I do want to warn you about that. It's a slimmer fit through the thigh, and it'll give your legs a more sculpted look. And instead of like the baggy look where everybody looks like they have like rail thin legs, that's just not a good look. You don't want that. They make your legs disappear. You don't want that. That's what these shorts can do for you. They do the exact same thing as the Lululemon shorts do, but they fit better because they're not made of the stiff, restricting cotton that frankly does not feel good. When they started using this cloud knit fabric that looks like khaki, but it stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice the movement where you're uncomfortable because they're slim fit. These shorts are different. Like, you don't feel like everything's super tight on you and you're uncomfortable. And they have these anti-stink sweat wicking fabric is what they're using on them, which keeps you cool and dry all day long. I've worn them on the golf course multiple times now. Just wore them last week. They're perfection for my golfers out there. I'm telling you, kept me cool in all the right spots. Didn't have to powder up. You know what I'm talking about. The liner inside, just it keeps everything where it needs to be. Things aren't bouncing around in the wrong spots, and they look great. So head over to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. Enter the promo code LockedOnMLB. Get yourself some Bird Dogs and get a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/lockedonmlb for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. The Cardinals have Jack Flaherty on the mound tonight against John Gray for the Rangers. And you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. News yesterday, bad news for the Rangers. Starter Jacob deGrom out for Tommy John surgery. He done for the year. And when you think about it, somebody texted me yesterday, and I was like, when that news came out, he was like, oh, bad news, right? And I'm like, you realize that the three top pitchers that were available through free agency last year, deGrom out, Tommy John. Verlander hardly pitched at the beginning of the year because he was hurt. Carlos Rodon hasn't even pitched yet. That's how bad things have gotten as far as like the starting pitchers for the the top guys last year. I mean, and they got a lot of money, man, and they are not getting all those results. Verlander, I guess, is back with the Mets and is doing fine, but remember, he wasn't on the team to start the year. He was hurt. But with deGrom out, I guess that kind of makes John Gray their ace right now. I mean, they've got a lot of good pitchers going for the Rangers, but he's 6-1, 2.51 ERA. Loving life outside of Colorado. Remember, John Gray was with the Rockies, and things weren't always rosy there. Things have been really, really good for him in Texas. Fired 7 shutout innings against the Mariners his last time out. Hasn't given up more than 1 earned run in a game since May 2nd. That was against the Diamondbacks. So he's mowed down the Mariners twice, Oakland, Colorado, and Baltimore during that stretch. Throws a 4-seam fastball about 43% of the time, sits in the mid-90s with that. Also has a slider, sweeper, curve, change in the arsenal. Paul DeJong has taken him deep once, but most of the team has never faced him. On the other side, we got the Joker, Jack Flaherty, on the bump. Comes into this matchup 3-4 ERA, 4.55 on the year, which, it doesn't sound great. Should have had his 4th win of the year his last time out, but the bullpen said, no way, Jose. They blew that one. But Jack Flaherty, give him his due. Since getting blasted by the Angels on May 4th. Remember that game? He's 1-0 in 5 starts, which I know doesn't sound great, but the team is 4-1 in the games that he started. He's got an ERA of 2.48 over 29 innings. The walks are still there. That's a problem, 13 of them, but the strikeouts are up, and he's only allowed 1 home run, keeping the ball in the ballpark. So when he is walking people, he's limiting the damage. They're not all coming in. And if he could just figure out the walks, man, he would be way better. But he's been better over the last, 5 starts. And many of the Rangers haven't faced Jack either. Corey Seager has the most at-bats against him, 6, and he's 0 for 6 against him. Marcus Semien, Robbie Grossman have each taken him yard. But it's a tough lineup. It's a tough lineup, and you can't walk them. You can't give them free guys because they'll hurt you. You saw that last night against Liberatore when he did walk the guy. That's when all hell broke loose, right? So we'll see if the Cardinals can put it all together in this last game, try to avoid the sweep, try to avoid losing 6 in a row before they get a day off on Thursday. And then they head home this weekend, and they'll be battling the Reds at Busch Stadium. And they just called up their top prospect, Elly De La Cruz, yesterday and immediately put him in the cleanup spot. Batted cleanup, got a comeback win, an exciting comeback win over the Dodgers, who were, I think it was like 8-3 at one point. It came back and won that one with a walk-off. That team right now has got a lot of energy and a lot of juice, something this Cardinals team is desperately lacking. They just don't, and I know they're losing, but they just don't look like they're having fun. They look like they're headed to the dentist to get a root canal when they go out on the field, and I hate that. Like, something's got to liven this team up. Something's got to shake it up. I don't know what it's going to take, but it needs to happen soon if they're ever going to turn this around. All right, thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Be sure to catch every pitch of the Cardinals hometown broadcast for this series against the Rangers, wrapping up tonight in Texas with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Cardinals. First pitch going to be at 7:05 St. Louis time. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You guys are the best fans in the world, and you're the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Cardinals. Have a good one.